What if I told... What's the difference between winners and losers? Well, one similarity is that they share the same goal. They both want to win. They both want to succeed. So what is the difference aside from just the basic fact that one won and one lost? Well, James Clear believes it's their habits, their systems that they employ every day that leads to ultimate success or not quite rising to the occasion. And you know what? As someone that has lost many things and is on the quest to be a winner, I had to dig deeper. My name is Dani, and this is Realistic Intentionality. This is a platform all about becoming your best self realistically. And honestly, as a real freaking human, because I'm so sick of the influencers making everything sound so freaking easy when sometimes it's not. So I read Atomic Habits by James Clear because he said that just 1% of change and progress will compound into insane, crazy, massive success. And guess what? 1% seems realistic to me. So sign me up. I was sold. And so that thing about winners and losers that I mentioned earlier is actually a direct part from his book, where he says that winners and losers share the same goal, but the difference between a winner and a loser is the systems they do. And the systems are like your daily habits. James Clear, after having a very serious injury when he was younger, had to relearn a lot of things, and he realized that he was becoming a more successful person when he was focusing on the smaller scale habits within every day instead of hyperfixating on the goals or the desires or the identities of what he wanted. And so he realized that, hey, if I just focus on what I'm actually doing every day, the outcome improves every time. As opposed to when you set a goal, sometimes you let yourself down or you fail or the goal was too difficult or too hard. He realized employing better habits every single day really can do no wrong, because you are improving your everyday decision making, you're improving your everyday routine, and you're doing it that will create big ripple effects into the rest of your life. In the book Atomic Habits, he mentioned that every habit and every decision is a vote. You are either voting to be bettering yourself or voting for a version of yourself that isn't actually aligned with what you want. And that it is up to you to figure out these systems that better your potential and better your experience. And trust me when I say, as someone that does focus a lot on like mindful awareness and empowered decision making, it really is no surprise to me. But I know for others, it can feel really hard, because I know personally, I 10 years ago got really into law of attraction, right? Where you're supposed to like visualize on the goal, and then it kind of just was like, okay, well, it's not happening and I'm doing all the work, which is just visualizing. But visualizing and having goals isn't the work. It's just the desired outcome. So what contributes to the desired outcome? It's the things that you do every day that get you more aligned and closer to actually achieving your goals. If you're looking for like a direct summary of this book that's gonna, save you the time and effort of reading it, I am just not the person for that, but there's plenty of videos that I actually watch to kind of like refresh my mind that go very deeply into all of the ideas and like the chapters basically. But I do highly recommend you read this book. It is really good. But here I'm just kind of discussing how you can apply it to everyday life, and especially the habit loop model, which was based off behavioral science like concepts, I guess, such as operant conditioning by B.F. Skinner. The habit loop model itself, which is Charles Duhigg, I think. I'm probably butchering these names, but whatever, we're gonna persevere. And Ivan Pavlov. And Ivan Pavlov's cue response learning. I have notes because some of these names and words and things aren't intense for me to try to memorize and spit out on camera. Essentially, the habit loop is that every kind of like behavior starts with a cue. A cue could be like a reminder or like a trigger. It's just whatever is making you all of a sudden light up and start seeking a dopamine or like a reward or some sort of thing, right? You're getting cued in, you're getting triggered, you're being reminded. And then that goes to craving. So that is when you are craving and acting that loop. You want to close that loop. You want to follow that cue into wherever it must go to then get a reward. Your cue was you walk by a donut shop and it smells really good. Then your craving is that, hey, you want a donut. The next thing in the loop is response. So this is where you are now craving something, and your brain and your body and your spirit and all that is mighty is now compelling you to do an action, make a move, start pausing your steps, looking at that donut shop, checking your bank account, seeing how you're doing this week, and you start going in there to get your donut. And then the reward is you standing in line, seeing that you're about to get your donut, and then digging in and enjoying that sweet fried sugariness that is just so good, that I personally have a very big problem with. I love donuts so much. I always have, and I really shouldn't because I know they're not good for you. All of that. And then, if it is a bad habit, you do get what I get, where you get shame and guilt and a bellyache, and you know that you made a bad decision. If you do a good habit, then you get the pride in knowing you succeeded and doing something that is aligned with your goals and what you want. As much as it might seem obvious that you would want to do good habits and you would want to not do bad habits, it's not that easy, because cravings really are intense. Cues happen without us really knowing, sometimes consciously, and our responses are very automated in what we have always done, the path of least resistance, which James Clear goes very deep in, where it's like your brain creates the path of least resistance to reward centers. So it's like, okay, I know that it is as easy as me buying this donut and eating it to get this dopamine, to get this sugar high, whatever. I know it's that easy to open Facebook and scroll for like 20 minutes and these high spikes of dopamine. I talk about this a lot. You get caught into an autopilot where you're kind of getting in these behavioral loops without really consciously thinking about them, and they start running amok because sometimes easy dopamine isn't the best dopamine. In fact, I would argue most of it is not the best, which James Clear also does say that, delayed gratification and delayed rewards are tend to be a lot better, but the brain likes quick, instant gratification. It's just the way we're wired. It's because we have very what do you call it? Not prehistoric. That's not the word. We have ancient instincts, yet we live in a modern life. So we have all these cravings of food, of sex, of security, and we have them intrinsically in our genetics, in our DNA. But the world isn't the way it was when we were living outside of caves. So we have now been triggered into a society that kind of purposely built on cueing certain things and getting you to crave and respond. It's a bummer, but we got to work with what we got. That's the state of the world right now. And all we can do is master our own minds by recognizing this loop and trying to orient it for the habits that will actually help us get our goals and help us be the winner instead of the loser, even though losing is inevitable sometimes. So it's really not that big of a deal, guys. It's all right to be a loser. I am with you on that one, okay? But regardless, it's nice to win. It's nice to do well in life. So what you can do based off James Clear's guidance and wisdoms is that you can kind of use the cue, craving, response, and reward as almost like a chart on how to make or break a habit. So if you want to do a good habit and you want to change your cues, you might want to make it obvious. Remind yourself, trigger yourself into remembering your good habit. If you want to exercise, put out your running shoes or your yoga mat or your weights or whatever people that exercise do. If you want to eat better, have some apples, green juice, whatever, like right on the counter for you to remember, oh yeah, I am trying to eat healthy today. You want to make it obvious. You don't want to have to remember in this intricate world that we have that you're trying to do this thing. You want it to just cued into your mind, which then goes to craving. You want it to feel attractive, right? Remember, make that green juice look and taste good. You cannot, and I say this from experience, you cannot cram every single vegetable and herb into a blender and force yourself to eat it and wanting to do that every day, right? You gotta at least try to make it good, make it appealing, because you're gonna be battling your willpower every single day when you are trying to carve the pathways in the mind for a new habit. So making it attractive, making it something you want to do is gonna be great. Like if you make your yoga mat smell like lavender or something, and you found like a really cool yoga teacher online that you just like love their energy, that's gonna make you want to do the yoga or the workout or whatever that analogy was that I said earlier, because again, I'm not working out. What? Then with your response, you want to make it easy, right? You don't want to battle the willpower. You want to just be able to do it and launch right into it. The biggest thing that James Clear says is starting the habit. All right. It's not even completion or perfection. It is about at least just doing it, because that enacts the pathway in our mind to be like, okay, this cue and this craving turns into this response. So you want to at least just carve it in there. Like, okay, just start. So how you can make it easy is doing like the most littlest, bittiest increment of the thing. If you want to read books, read one page. If you want to do workouts, do like 3 squats. Just do whatever it takes for you to at least initiate the habit. Make it easy, because if you're going to set all these rules and parameters and goals for your habit that are so unrealistic, it's just not good. It's not going to be good. You're not going to want to do it because you're human. And some days you wake up with more willpower or feeling better or feeling worse, or things are being thrown at you from the external worlds and obligations. Like, you need to set these habits up for success in your everyday life. And for your reward, you want to make sure it's satisfying, right? And listen, we went over it. Good habits often have delayed gratification. So you kind of need to make it satisfying in the moment. James Clear recommends making a streak on the calendar. Like every single day that you do this habit, you get to gold star, good noodle it, from SpongeBob. You get to do something that like fires off some dopamine. Like, yes, I get to mark it on my calendar that I did it today. Or have an accountability buddy where you can text them and be like, guess who actually did a singular workout? Guess who edited her podcast in a timely manner instead of waiting last minute? Who? Yes. You want to make it satisfying, because you know that a lot of good things, the reward isn't going to seem apparent in the day. And James Clear really nails that in heavily, is that it compounds over time. It's gonna feel like you're doing all the work and you're getting nothing, but at some point it's gonna just be a breakthrough. You're gonna look back and you're gonna be like, wow, I lost 20 pounds, or wow, I read 5 books, whatever. Is 5 books impressive? I don't know, but it will compound over time. So you need to make it satisfying. Now with breaking habits, it's kind of just the opposite. The cue of what's triggering it, make it invisible. If you're trying to cut out junk food, don't have the junk food in your house, or have someone lock it away in a place that you don't know. And hopefully you won't just, search for it for 3 hours. Not saying that I've ever done that. If you're trying to avoid smoking cigarettes. Take a block away from the bodega or the corner shop that you usually get your cigarettes from, and like make sure that you don't have any lighters in the house, and that if you have friends that smoke, maybe give them a heads up, like, hey, try not to do that right now. Make it invisible. You don't want to see it. You don't want to think about it, because that cue is going to cause the craving. For the craving, you're just going to make it unattractive. Remind yourself that this isn't what you want, and focus on the bad things about it. It's like, okay, if I eat sugar, I'm going to get a stomachache. If I smoke a cigarette, I'm going to smell stinky and get lung cancer or whatever. Remind yourself that there are negatives to it, and like all of the negatives. Understand that, yes, there are positives, okay? Trust me, you can convince yourself to do it, but try to work on the mental patterns of making it unattractive. You do have to be at some substantial level of like awareness and being able to like talk yourself off a cliff. I wish I had a book recommendation for if you're not there and you're just still completely powerless to yourself. But I love you. I'm sorry that you're feeling that way, but it is going to take a little bit of willpower and a little bit of discipline. We're just trying to, increase the friction, as he says. You want to increase the friction of you and this thing. So by making it invisible and making it unattractive, that adds friction. Another thing that adds friction is making it difficult. So again, if you don't have lighters to smoke cigarettes, you're gonna have to find a way to light the cigarette, and that's a pain in the ass. Been there, done that. If you want sweets, you're gonna have to literally run to the store, run somewhere and buy it. At that point, you can maybe keep your money locked down on Cash App or something, whatever. Make it difficult. Because if your brain wants instant gratification, so if it already knows that it's going to be really freaking difficult to do this thing and to follow this craving, that's going to help dissuade you. And lastly, make it unsatisfying. If you do have a streak of good behavior and you have to mark down on the calendar that was a bad day, that's pretty unsatisfying. Or if you have to tell your buddy, like, yeah, I failed today, it's a bummer. It's that negative dopamine, the anti-dopamine. So you make it unsatisfying, and that should help. And all these things can help you reorient your habits, and also just like your way of thinking of like, okay, I understand I'm being cued to something and I am going to have the craving, but you have the power of what your response is going to be, and understand that rewards do look different. Sometimes there is going to be the long-term gratification, but it's going to be worth it, because that's when you can remind yourself of the goal, right? Remind yourself you are working for something. So it's like goals aren't totally useless, right? They're just not the best motivator, right? And the reality is, motivation is a fickle bitch, okay? I get it, dude. I get it. I've been working on a book for a freaking year now, okay? And I've had more days where I didn't even think about writing than I have actually getting words on the paper. So you can't rely on motivation. You can't rely on discipline. It's just not achievable or realistic for the average person. And we talk about realistic here on this channel and on my pods and all that. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that life is easy and achieving goals is easy. I will say with Atomic Habits and all of the wisdoms in this book, it does help you understand that the little things you do every day really do matter, and little things seem a lot more doable than big things. One of my favorite quotes that he said was, and I'm literally going to use my notes again, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. No matter how incredible and how selfless and how amazing and how your goals are, you're not going to get to them if your everyday routines are causing you to fail. I am not going to write that book if I continue letting myself not write the book. Even if I know my book idea is good, even if I know I theoretically could write the book, you have to understand you're going to fall to the level of your systems. If my systems allow me to convince myself to not write the book, and I don't think about the book and I don't do anything with the book, I'm not going to write the book, right? You have to set your systems and your habits up for your own success. It's just the way it is. Goals are beautiful, wonderful things. I think goals, I talk about them big on my platforms. I have Gold Digger on a mug and on my platforms. I love goal setting. It is such a big thing on my platform, but I will say, when you are trying to create the life that you exist for, when you are trying to make something of yourself and become self-actualized, a lot of the work is in the little micro decisions and the micro moments that you don't necessarily think about. And so by learning how to navigate your everyday habits and your everyday decision making to lead you towards a path of compounded success, it's important to know. The more that you know yourself and know your mission, and the more you work towards it, the more particular and specific you are going to get with aligning yourself to that mission, to that dream, to that intention. And by reading Atomic Habits or learning about it or studying about it, listen, I get it. Reading books takes some time. Just watch other videos about it after this one. Learn about it and empower your thinking, empower your decision making, and kind of understand the psychology behind it. It will help. James Clear had a lot of really cool tips thrown in with these big structures and systems. And one of them is the Goldilocks rule, which is not too easy, not too hard, just enough challenge. When you are trying to set yourself up, if it's too easy, I think you'll overlook it too much. But if it's too hard, you're not going to get the motivation to do it. You want it to be just right and just the amount of challenge that it's going to be like entertaining, or entertaining might not be the best word. It's going to pique your interest, right? Another big thing he talks about is that you want your environment to work for you, not against you. So again, like the cues and making it easy, making it attractive, that is all stuff that you really can do in your environment. Hiding the things you don't want to do, putting reminders around that you don't want to do those things, and then the things that you do want to do, make it easy, make it accessible. If you want to play a guitar, you better have your guitar out. You don't keep it in a closet where it's out of sight, out of mind, and is a pain in the ass to like dig out. You want your environment to work for you. And that is a big thing that I experience in my own personal life. And trust me, it's hard. Look out for future videos and like my podcast. I am going to talk about implementing all these atomic habit principles and ideas and suggestions in my daily life, because I am a homeschooling mom. We are low income. We have a smaller house, not a lot of storage. I have tons of hobbies and stuff. And I don't have a lot of time or space theoretically because I am a homeschooling mom and I'm constantly taking care of a child. But these things can be applied to just about any life, realistically. You do not need to be a certain special kind of person to simply adjust your habits for your betterment, okay? You deserve to try these things out. You deserve to learn these tips and to enact them. And I'm saying that to myself, and I can't wait to report back on how they do in my life, because I read this book last month and I've been kind of like sitting on it knowing I'm going to make a video. And I have applied it in little kind of just like cueing myself to remember and like doing it casually, but I'm about to really get in a strict regimen of like, okay, I'm leaving my laptop out, so I remember I need to edit. I'm gonna, leave my book outline up on my computer, so when I open my computer, I see my book outline. I'm going to let myself get cued into my good habits. And I truly hope that you do too, because you do deserve to achieve your goals. You do deserve to be a winner in your own right. And please know you deserve to create the life you exist for. If you liked this video, please give it a like. Please drop a comment about anything. Truly, you can even just tell me what you had for lunch. But, if you have any goals or you have any habits you're hoping to make or break, let me know. I would love to hear about them. I just love you guys so much. And, if you feel, there's a dog hair on my mic. Yeah. If you feel inclined and you like the vibe, please subscribe and find me on all other platforms. And if you just like me, I do have some podcasts that you may check out. I'm all around the internet. I'm never hiding anywhere. So you can go ahead and find me and we can hang out and be one-sided digital friends. Yeah. All right. You're awesome. Thank you for watching. Have a beautiful day. Bye.